Okay, good morning. It's our last day of class. It will be a fairly short class, I'm assuming. I want to start, what? Good, okay. I want to start with what's due. We have an attendance quiz that should become available around 1 o'clock today. Chapter 13 homework. The homework you will find in the Chapter 13 videos, and we did the homework problem on Monday in class, or not Monday, Tuesday. Again, final exam, again, we'll go over it twice today. Due by 6 p.m. on Thursday, May 8th. You must finish by 6 p.m. on Thursday, May 8th. It covers chapters 8 through 13. Study plan is the best way to use to prepare for it. Similar in format and length as our other exams. You can use one sheet of paper for it, front and back, one specific piece of paper, not two stapled together, not two taped together. If you need present value tables, they'll be provided on My Accounting Lab as a pop-up. Sure, everyone knows this again, but I'm going to say it yet again. If you complete the final exam by 6 p.m. on Sunday, May 4th, you receive an additional 12 points. This is the only way you can get the 12 points added. The lab is open from 8 a.m. to 6 p.m. on Sunday, May 4th. I just got the email this morning from the lab manager. I will be there at 8 a.m. I believe there are 2 or 3 other proctors there at 8 a.m. So if you want to come right at 8 a.m. or even a few minutes early, we can get you signed in. There are 72 computers there, so we should be able to move people through. We have in our class pretty much exclusive use of the lab from 8 a.m. to noon on Sunday. Brian will also be proctoring. We will be there all day. We have lots of proctors so that we can use both rooms the whole time. You have to start your exam by 4 p.m. on Sunday if you're going to take it in the lab. If you're using ProctorU, they don't care what time you started, but you have to submit it by 6 p.m. If you submit it even 1 minute after 6 p.m., you will not receive the 12-point bonus. I'm going by Verizon time in case you're wondering. Then when we're proctoring, Brian and I will smile at you, but we can't talk. I can't talk about grades, that kind of thing. We want to be quiet for the rest of the lab, and so just know that. Final exam review sheet, it is on Blackboard under exam info. It's going to pop up here. There's a URL coming up, the tiny.cc final exam. Okay, but you can also get to that under Blackboard. During my office hours during exam week, I'm coming in Monday and Tuesday. I'll be available from 8 a.m. to 10:30 both days. Okay, so if you want to see me anytime other than that, we'll be corresponding via email. And then a list of other things I wanted to be sure and touch base with you on today since it's our last day regarding grades. And I alluded to this Tuesday. First of all, I will not bump up one individual student's grade. Let's just go through an example. Let's say your grade after everything's said and done in My Accounting Lab is 89.9. I'm not going to bump you up to a 90. If I bump anyone up, it will bump everyone. I do not bump individual students because that's not fair. I'm going to do it to the group or to no one. And if I would do it to the group, I'm not going to know that until Friday or Saturday, so I will have no idea. Not likely, do not plan on it. Your lowest one homework and your 3 lowest quizzes will be dropped sometime Sunday evening. Okay, I don't know when that will be. Because I'm proctoring all day Sunday, and when I finish proctoring, I have to go teach my study abroad class. So sometime Sunday, your lowest one homework and 3 lowest quizzes will be dropped. You will know it's occurred because of 2 things. I'll try to remember to send out an announcement, but if you look under results in My Accounting Lab, you will see some of your scores grayed out. Remember that if you take a quiz twice, the only score that counts in the calculation of grade is the higher one. But once I do this drop, you will see a quiz score. You'll see 3 quiz scores and a homework score grayed out. Dropping quizzes and homeworks will never hurt your grade. Okay, I've had people in the past write to me and say they don't want to drop them, but it will never hurt your grade. It can only help your grade. The 12 points will be added to your exam Sunday evening. So the score that you get when you complete the exam on Sunday, just know that it might not reflect the drops yet. I don't know when I'm doing that for sure. If proctoring's slow at some point Sunday morning, I may do it during proctoring if there's a computer there and I have time. Otherwise, I'll have to do it Sunday evening. But when you finish the exam, your 12 points is not on your exam score, and your lowest grades may not be dropped by then. But when you finish the exam and you click on results and you see your overall grade, that's kind of worst case. The worst grade you can get is, if you look that up on the syllabus, will be whatever that is. So these other things can only help you, the dropping of the lowest grades and putting the 12 points on. Okay, if you take the exam Monday through Thursday, then when you finish your exam and you see that overall score for the course, that is your course grade. And then I will be, let's see, okay, grade showing in my accounting lab. Once I've done those, that's your course grade. And I will be entering the course grades in Flashline on Friday or Saturday. My hope is Friday. In a perfect world, I'll do it Friday. I'm going to answer that one in just a minute. I'll get to it in a minute. So I will enter course grades in Flashline on Friday or Saturday. I will email or do an announcement saying the course grades are done. I would really appreciate it if you would check that, go into Flashline and check it as soon as possible, because rarely there is some kind of error. Doesn't happen very often, but rarely it does happen. I'm leaving Sunday after finals week for Europe, so I need to know before Sunday if there's anything. Otherwise, I cannot do anything for at least 2 weeks. So do check those. I will keep in touch with you and let you know when I have those done. So I can't have any conversation with you about your grade until everyone's done and we see how that works out, and then I will email you and let you know. And there's a question up here. It says, I have a question about study plan. Is the topic something we can't click? Does that mean the test does not cover that topic, or we skipped it in class? If you can't click it, you don't need it for the exam. Okay, so that's why I've edited study plan to only include the things that are relevant. And you don't have to study it in study plan, but you know that you need to know what we've done in class and those kind of things. But yes, I've narrowed it down as much as I can. Okay, any other questions? Okay, so what my plan is today, we have a fairly short class. What we're going to do is we're going to do a series of questions. I think I have 10, 12 questions, and each of those questions brings up a point I want to talk about. So we'll put the question up, we'll get the answers, and then I'll talk about the answer. And then I'll hit back on if there's any questions about anything coming up. So it isn't going to be an extremely long class. It will be a short class. So again, as we're going today, if you want to mark, if you have any questions about anything for the course, I'm going to take questions at the end today, and we have plenty of time to do that. Okay, so we're going to start with our first question. So again, these are the type of questions you'll see on the exam regarding this material. First one's a true-false question. A firm's ability to pay current liabilities can be evaluated using working capital in the current ratio. True or false? Give me some kind of signal, Brian, when you have a lot of answers.
We have 9 truths.
Okay, we have 9 truths and 1 false, and this is true. Okay, so working capital. A note on working capital. Working capital is not a ratio, but it's a number. Working capital is your current assets minus your current liabilities. You might want to type that in the window. Working capital is current assets minus current liabilities. Working capital is comparing our current resources, what's available to us right now to pay our bills, which are current assets, subtract what we've got coming due soon. So it's basically saying how much do we have to work with. So we take our current assets, subtract our current liabilities, and that gives us working capital. So that's a measure of our ability to pay current liabilities. We would not want that to be negative. And the current ratio is also a measure of that relationship there, or that ability to pay current liabilities. Okay, another one. We calculated the asset test ratio yesterday, also known as the quick ratio. The asset test ratio reflects the company's percentage of total assets financed with total debt. True or false? Okay, so we have a split. Okay, the asset test ratio, also known as the quick ratio. The quick ratio, or the asset test ratio, reflects the company's percentage of total assets financed with total debt. This one, when we look at it, the asset test ratio, if we think about what it is, the asset test ratio is current liabilities plus near cash things like short-term assets, short-term investments, and receivables. Doesn't include inventory, but so we have these very liquid assets on the numerator divided by our current liabilities. So the reason this is false is the word total assets and total debt. It's our liquid assets, our very liquid assets divided by our current liabilities. So this is false. And it is, and it's because it's not total assets and not total debt. It's this current portion. So this one's false. And again, on my sheet for the exam, I would write down the ratios given. I would write down the ratios we went over on Monday. I would also write down the ratios that are in your book. And I also went over those in the videos as well. So have those because that's pretty easy to compare when answering questions like this. The next one up talks about a high inventory turnover. And this deals with interpreting that. So a high inventory turnover may indicate that a company is experiencing difficulty selling its inventory. True or false? It's a pretty even split again. Okay, high inventory turnover. If we reason our way through this one, a high inventory turnover measures how many times we sell our inventory in a given year. It's going to be really high for a grocery store. It's going to be lower for a jewelry store. So this question is saying if we have a high inventory turnover. If we sell our inventory 10 times during a year versus 2 times during a year, that's not a bad thing. So this is false. High inventory turnover means that we're selling our inventory. That's what we want. We want that turn. We want to be able to turn it over and sell it again, and sell it again. So this is false. Okay, a high inventory, and this deals with interpreting inventory turnover. Inventory turnover, everything else being equal, you would want to be as high as possible. Still looking at liquidity ratios with this next question. So the next question says, all of these listed ones are liquidity ratios except for, so you have to, on this question that's coming up, you have to pick which one doesn't measure liquidity. Okay, ratios that test liquidity. Liquidity refers to our resources used to pay current liabilities. Asset test ratio and current ratio are both clearly liquidity because they deal with our current assets and our current liabilities. Now, to pick between D and E, you look at those two and which one refers to current asset, and that would be D is current asset. So the answer is C. Inventory turnover is a measure of liquidity. Liquidity means how much cash we have. If we're turning over our inventory rapidly, it's turning into cash, and that's considered to be liquid. So the item that does not match debt to total assets measures our debt structure and a measure of risk. But liquidity ratios are typically your current ratio, your asset test ratio, inventory turnover. We looked at a bunch of those on Tuesday in the homework exercise. Okay, this next one has numbers in it, but you don't have to do any calculations. Okay, a company's net income as a percentage of sales is 15%. Using vertical analysis, the cost of goods sold as a percentage of sales must be 85%. To answer this one off to the side, I would put in, make up a little income statement, the basic format for an income statement. Okay, we have a predominance of true answers, but this is false actually. So let's talk about why it's false. Also on my reference sheet, off to the side, I would have the format for an income statement. The format for an income statement, the top line of every income statement has to be sales, or your sales revenue, net sales, whatever you want to call it, but it's sales. And then the next line down is cost of goods sold. And then your next line down is gross profit or gross margin. I'm going to show you this in just a minute. And then your next line down is less operating expenses, and then net income. Let me show you. So on here, this is false, and I'm putting down, I'm going to show, when it loads, it'll show a basic income statement format. That is the basic income statement format. So I'll pause for a minute while you write that down, and then I'll say something else about it. This format for an income statement, I would have that off to the side because you never know what kind of questions can ask this. Now this question is saying our net income as a percent of sales is 15%. So then it's saying it's cost of goods sold 85%. It can't be 85% unless you have zero operating expenses, and you will never have zero operating expenses. So as you work your way up, if you just put some numbers in there, if you have 5% operating expenses, then your gross margin is 80% in your cost of goods sold. So, or not, your cost of goods sold would be 80 then if your operating expenses were 5. So you can back into it that way. So that's why this one is false, okay? Because of operating expenses. Operating expenses will do something. Because sales less cost of goods sold equals gross margin. Gross margin minus operating expenses gives us net income. Okay, common size financial statements. Common size financial statements report only dollar amounts, true or false? Common size financial statements report only dollar amounts. That is false. I didn't even ask for your feedback. I assume there were a lot of falses. Okay, common size statements. Some things to note on common size financial statements. Common size statements are also known as vertical analysis. It is a form of vertical analysis. So common size financial statements are vertical analysis. Common size statements are only in percentages. Okay? Common size financial statements don't have any dollars. The reason we have common size financial statements is to compare companies of different sizes. So that's quite important. So you want to make a note off to the side somewhere that common size statements are so that we can compare companies of different sizes. Common size financial statements, it's a form of vertical analysis, and it allows us to compare companies of different sizes. Okay, I'm going to go to a different question and come back to this one. Okay, we'll do this one. Okay, on a common size balance sheet, income taxes payable is expressed as a percentage of what? Do you have answers yet?
We have both A, 7,
Okay, so this brings up an interesting question. So the popular answer is not correct. Common size balance sheet. A common size statement is vertical analysis. We said that. When we do vertical analysis on the balance sheet, every single item is divided by, Brian's mouthing the answer if you can't see him. Anyways, so this is, again, very important. Every single item on a vertical analysis balance sheet, which is a common size balance sheet, is divided by total assets. So the answer here, it doesn't matter. I could put salaries payable. I could put inventory. I could put stockholders' equity. Every single item on a balance sheet for common size statements or vertical analysis statement is divided by total assets. So we could, on a common size balance sheet, we could put, on a common size balance sheet, inventory is expressed as a percentage of what? Total assets. We could put on a common size balance sheet, long-term debt is expressed as a percentage of total assets. So if you see balance sheet, your base is going to be total assets. Now, if you see income statement, your base is going to be net sales. Okay, and we did this Tuesday. So those are the bases. We've got an income statement with sales, and we've got a balance sheet with total assets. And those will always be the bases there. We have 2 computational questions coming up now. It's the first of them. So we're going to give some time because it's kind of lengthy too. So we'll pause for a few minutes while you can write it down and then do try it. The base for an income statement is sales or net sales, sales revenue, something like that. The question on the chat window was, what is on an income statement instead of total assets? And it'll be sales, net sales, total sales, something like that. The first line of the income statement. Yep. Very good. You have some answers? Yeah, this is kind of hard in some respects. I mean, yeah. Okay, the answer on this one is B. And how we do that is we need to take the cost of goods sold of 14 million divided by the average inventory of 4 million. So that's our first part. So we get 3.5. And then we take 365 days, divide by that 3.5, and we get approximately 104. I threw this in here just so you can see an example of using those ratios in a multiple choice question. What? Depends what, well. They went out of business, right? Yeah. I think this is actually a made up name. So average number of days in inventory, how long it takes, how long something sits in average on inventory, 104 days. We were just commenting this is a department store. That seems like a very long time to be in inventory. Again, we don't know. Maybe last year their average days in inventory was 140, and this is good because it's cutting the number of days. But last year, if the average days in inventory is 60 and now it's 104, that's cause for alarm. So again, you have to evaluate these numbers based on industry averages and trends over time. And then I feel like we should have a drum roll. Coming up is the last question of the semester. Good drum roll, yes. Okay. So we have a clothing store had accounts receivable balance of $420,000 at the beginning of the year and a year-end balance of $510,000. Net sales for the years totaled $2,100,000. What was their average collection period? How long on average did it take to collect each accounts receivable? Yeah. The first thing you have to do on this problem, if you're not sure where to go, is you have to calculate your average day sales. And to calculate your average day sales, you take the total sales and divide by 365 days. That's one thing you have to do on this, but that's not the answer, but it's what you need to use to get there. So total sales, net sales, divided by 365 is the first step. The second step is to take your average accounts receivable and divide by those days sales that you just calculated. So what we're going to see here, there's a lot of numbers. We're going to first of all get our day sales. Our day sales are 2,100,000 divided by 365. So our day sales are 5,753.40. That's our first step. And then the next step is to take our average receivables. So we take the beginning of the year plus the end of the year, divide by 2, and divide by the average day sales. And we get an answer of roughly 81 days. Oh, good. Most people got it right. Good. Brian's playing an overture. We'll feedback there. Oh, now a few administrative things. Due this weekend, the Chapter 13 homework and the Chapter 13 attendance quiz. The 12-point bonus opportunity. I want to ask real quick, online, can you answer yes or no? Can you change it to a yes or no for me, please? Okay, if you're online, I'm going to ask you in class too. Who's taking the exam Sunday? So in class, let me look here. Okay. Wow, so 100%. Of course, the people that are in class are going to. What are we seeing online? Okay, so right now, unanimously of the people engaged in the class right now, it seems like everyone's taking the exam. I would urge you, and I have no idea what kind of lines we're talking about. I've never had everyone take the exam on Sunday. The most I've ever gotten to is half the class, which in that case we're talking 250, which is not total cause for alarm. We do have the lab to ourselves from 8 a.m. to noon. 8 a.m. is a great time to take it. I've set the exam so we can actually start a few minutes early. So I'm not in charge of unlocking the lab, but I will be there early. There should be 4 of us there to get people started. So we can get people started and going, and there's 72 computers there. So we can definitely handle, if everyone would come Sunday, we can definitely handle it. I would warn you though, in the afternoon, do allow yourself plenty of time, because it's possible we could get a rush right at 4 o'clock. And if you aren't sitting there signed in before 4 o'clock, you're not going to be able to take it in the lab. If you're using ProctorU, just make sure you submit it by 6 p.m. Let me see what's next. Just to kind of reiterate my last time in front of you. I'm going to drop those grades by Monday, which means I'll do it sometime Sunday. If I have any chance during proctoring on Sunday, I'll do it then, otherwise Sunday evening. The course grades will be entered in Flashline before Sunday, because I am leaving on study abroad Sunday. So I want to get everything done. I will email you once they're in Flashline. I would appreciate it if you can go on Flashline and check. And I mean, I know many of you, I would obsessively check Flashline to see when grades are posted anyway, so you might know before I email you. I can't adjust individual grades, and that's a good thing, because if I do any adjusting, it's going to impact everyone. So you will not miss out because you didn't ask. Everyone will be treated the same. Office hours during finals week, I'm in Monday and Tuesday mornings, 8 a.m. to 10:30. Otherwise, happy to converse with you via email. Okay, and then I think that's it. Do we have any questions? Okay, I think. Do keep in touch. I guess this is it. I hate the last day of the semester. So do keep in touch. Good luck in your future classes. And I will see you Sunday then.